Hey everyone, welcome back. In our last lesson, we used procedural generation and a for loop to scatter an entire field of random, multi-size asteroids across our map. Our space field is officially populated, but our ship is totally defenseless. In this lesson, we're going to build our ship's primary weapon system. We'll learn how to read a spacebar press, create a custom laser projectile, and write a function that calculates the exact exit trajectory to launch our lasers forward into the void. Before we jump into Unreal, let's take a look at some programming terminology that we're going to use in this lesson. Projectile movement component. This is a built-in Unreal wizard component that you can attach to any actor to instantly make it behave like a bullet, rocket, or laser. It handles automatic velocity, gravity, and trajectory calculations without you needing to manually update the position every single frame. And then we have the transform data type. So in our last lessons, we worked with integers, numbers, and vectors, the X, Y, and Z position. A transform is sort of a mega container that bundles three vital pieces of data together into one tiny package: the location vector, the rotation rotator, and a scale vector. So whenever you spawn an object, Unreal demands a full transform so it knows exactly where it sits, which way it faces, and how big it is. Alright, let's jump into Unreal. Now, before our ship can shoot anything, we need to construct the physical ammunition file inside our browser. Go down to your content browser at the bottom of the screen and look for your blueprints folder. Right-click in the empty gray space area, select our blueprint class, and we're going to select another actor here. And we want to name this BP Laser. All right, let's double-click it to open up its blueprint window, and I'm going to dock this into my layout. Next, we want to add a shape for essentially our projectile and play with the speed. So up in the left-hand corner in the components panel, click the add button, and then I want you to search for capsule. Go ahead and click on it. All right, so let's turn this into a visible laser. Because our capsule collision is naturally invisible during gameplay, it's just essentially an invisible force field that calculates hits. So we need to stretch it out and color it so that our player can see it on camera. So let's select our capsule here, and then look over on the details panel here, and on the side of the screen we want to adjust a couple of settings. So find the shape category, which is located here. You could also type shape up here, and that'll highlight or kind of encapsulate that area. And we want to set the capsule's half height to 30. And then we want to set its radius to 5. And let's go ahead and close this out. Now under its transform section, we want to set its Y to -90. And you'll notice this is going to lay it flat along our ship's forward path. Alright, so now we want to make it visible. I'd like to make it look like a glowing red energy ball, and the way to do that is we can turn hidden settings on or wrap it in a basic render model. In your details panel, go ahead and find the rendering section here, and then we want to check off hidden in game. This essentially makes the default capsule outline visible as sort of a bright neon wireframe. So when we play test, let's go ahead and compile and save this. All right, so now let's go back to the top left component section, and we're going to click add one more time, and we're going to search for projectile movement. Now select your projectile movement component and check the details panel on the right here. We're going to scroll down to the projectile settings and look for speed. So for initial speed, I want to set this to like 3000, and we'll adjust this later depending on how it looks in the game. And then for the max speed, we're going to set that to 3000 as well. And for our projectile gravity scale, I'm going to set this to 0. Now, the reason for that is this is deep space, and we don't want our lasers falling downwards. We just want them to be going forward. So let's compile and save this. What I'd like to do next is give our keyboard the capability to pull the trigger and fire this laser out. So in our content drawer at the bottom here, we want to go to our inputs, where we have our other ones in here. And notice we have an IA thrust, an IA turn, and now what I want to do is I want to create a new input action. And so let's go down to, let's right click in here, select input, and then add a new input action. This one I'm going to name it IA underscore, and then I'm just going to name this fire. Now we don't really need to change any of the settings in this one. It's basically an on-off. Remember the digital bool that we did last time? And so this works perfectly for any kind of single button click. So, for example, my space bar. So let's go ahead and open up our IMC asteroids controller. And we want to add another mapping. And this one is going to be for our um, IA fire that we just created. And I'm just going to keep collapsing these for readability. And for our keyboard input here, I'm just going to click on select the key value button, and I'm going to hit spacebar. So it selects that. And so this will bind it automatically. All right, that's really all we have to do for our mapping context. So let's go ahead and save, and then we can close that out just to make our interface less cluttered. So now we need to build the fire laser function. So let's open up our BP laser, our player ship script here, or blueprint rather. So I'm going to close these others out just so we could focus on this. And in the left-hand side under my blueprint, let's click the plus icon next to functions again. And I want to create a new function called fire laser. This should open up your fire laser function, and you can see where it's empty in here. And this, I want you to think of this as sort of like we have to look out of the windshield of our ship, right? And calculate the exact launch point for where this laser is going to fire, right? So I want to right click inside of here in the empty grid space, and I want to get actor transform. So just a little bit of clarity, why would we use a transform node instead of a location node? If we only look at our ship's location, our laser will spawn in the right spot, but it won't know which way the ship is pointing. So by grabbing the full transform, we capture our ship's exact location, angle, and orientation simultaneously. So let's go ahead and right click in an empty space, and then what we're going to do is we're going to search for a spawn actor from class. And we've seen this before, right? We can select the class here and essentially tell it, which class we'd like it to spawn from, right? And you're probably guessed right that we're looking for BP_laser. Now we just need to fill out some of the other parameters so we let it know where it's coming from. So let's move this down here and let's wire this orange pin directly into our spawn transform, and then let's wire in our white execution node from where our fire laser is coming from into our spawn actor laser. Okay, so let's head over to our event graph, or what I like to call our main stage, and let's hook up our spacebar press for our brand new weapon tool. So out here, let's right click, and I'm going to type IA_fire, and what we're looking for is the enhanced action event that's located here. And you can see that it looks similar to these other ones, and I kind of try to lump these all together. Right, so let's head over to my blueprint section, and let's drag out our fire laser and drop it here. And then we're going to use that to connect to our our input, which is our spacebar. So let's wire that directly into here. And actually, what I want to do is I don't want to use the triggered. I want to use started. So I'm going to move this up a little bit and grab started and drop that inside here. So this is important. Like, why am I doing started instead of triggered? So in our movement script, we use a trigger because we want the ship to continuously move every single frame the key was held down. So if we use triggered for firing, holding the spacebar down will spawn 60 lasers a second, like a giant laser wall. So choosing started ensures that the laser fires only once per button press, and that's why we're selecting that. So let's go ahead and compile and save this as well. All right, again, compile, save, we can close this blueprint window for, just to kind of clear up our interface here, and let's go ahead and press play. Let's test out our WASD keys, and let's hit spacebar, and you can see now that we have this bright red energy bolt, materializing instantly at the center of our ship and rocketing forward into space along whatever vector line the nose of our ship is viewing from. All right, so let me hit escape on that. Now I'd like to give you guys a little bit of a challenge. All right, so here's my challenge for you. Right now our lasers look really cool, but they fly forever out into the universe. If you miss an asteroid, that laser script stays alive in the background memory of your computer forever, slowing down your game over time. This is a classic issue known as memory leak. Can you find a way to make the laser clean up after itself? And here's a little hint. So open up your BP laser blueprint, go into the main event graph, look for the red event, begin play node, drag a wire out from it and search for a node called delay. Set the delay time to so many seconds. And then drag a wire out from that one and look for a node called destroyed actor. Do this. I'm going to go through this process with you in a second, but, see if you could figure that out on your own for now. All right, let's go ahead and solve this challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my BP laser here, and let's see. All right, here we are in our event graph, right? And so let's locate our begin play node here, and I'm going to drag out a wire from it and then just look for delay. And we'll set that to maybe 2 seconds. Gives us enough time for our ship to hit something. And then we just drag this out. We look for destroy actor. And that's it. So we compile and save this, and we press play. And now when we hit spacebar, we are destroying them after 2 seconds. All right, I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one where we talk about functions that notice when a laser hits the rocks and destroys the bullet.